Welcome to Spirited Sports, your go-to podcast for all things sports. Tole Nick DeChico, Stephen Lucas, and many more bring you thrilling game recaps, inspiring stories, and lively discussions, expert analysis, and passionate takes. Get ready to feel the spirit of the game.
Can you believe it? It's already been a year. Spirited Sports, the very special episode here today, the 1 year anniversary. Who's excited? Are we ready?
I'm thrilled, absolutely excited. It's been absolutely amazing to see how this podcast has continued to evolve, and I'm very excited too for what the future holds as well.
Very excited for today's episode, and 1 year, congratulations, that's awesome, and cheers to 10 more, and let's grow this podcast even further.
I look back, and it's been quite a journey so far. It started off as a little podcast that a few people listen to every so often, and it's continued to grow, and it will continue to grow.
So we want to extend a thank you to our listeners, because at the end of the day, this podcast is for the listeners, and we're so grateful of the continued support. And Spirited Sports Nation, let's get into another episode here.
Yes, the very special 1 year anniversary episode. Let's start it off just like we did last year with the Stanley Cup playoffs and the finals, where the Florida Panthers are once again Stanley Cup champions. Back-to-back championships for the Florida Panthers after beating the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 in Game 6 on Tuesday night, becoming the first franchise since the Tampa Bay Lightning to win back-to-back cups in 2020 and 2021. When I think of dynasties and the continued dominance, the state of Florida has won 4 cups in the last 5 years. Does that not say something?
It absolutely does. This is the 6th straight Stanley Cup final that consists of a team from Florida, as Nick alluded to there as well. You look back over this 6-year span, it started with the Tampa Bay Lightning facing off against the Dallas Stars in the bubble, where Tampa won 4-2, and then, in those realigned division season, beating the Montreal Canadiens in the final 4-1, and then the next year losing in 6 to the Colorado Avalanche, and then flipping from Tampa to Florida. Then you had the Panthers losing to Vegas, and then beating Edmonton in 7, and now beating Edmonton in 6. So it's been a complete, absolutely incredible turnaround for the Panthers organizationally, from an organization who wasn't really accustomed to being that sort of dynasty, to a team that's, the most well-coached, probably one of the best well-put-together teams in the league.
Growing the markets there has been a good thing. You see, the expansion of hockey to the Sun Belt has a lot to do with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. You see, over the last 30 years, Bettman has been the league's commissioner, and he has helped the NHL grow from 24 to 32 teams. And obviously those expansion teams, including the development of prominent teams like Tampa Bay Lightning, the 2023 Stanley Cup champions, Las Vegas Golden Knights, and now back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. Bringing hockey to non-traditional markets has just allowed the NHL to grow and introduce new fans to the sport. These NHL franchises have found their own ways of engaging fans in creating thriving cultures in their communities, and it's worked out. I mean, it's good for the game, and the game's growing.
Yeah, well said, Stevie.
So for Sam Reinhart here, he scored 4 goals in Game 6 and became the 4th player to score 4 goals in a game in the finals. For Sergei Bobrovsky, I know we've talked about him quite a bit during these playoffs. He stopped 28 of 29 shots he faced in that series-clinching game in Game 6, and he closed the door on a rematch that had the same end result. So not long after the Lightning made 3 trips to the finals in a row, Florida has now done the same, making it a modern-day dynasty. The Panthers have won 11 of 12 playoff series since Matthew Tkachuk arrived in Florida via the trade, and Paul Maurice took over as coach in the summer of 2022. We knew as soon as Tkachuk arrived in Florida, things were changing around there in the Sunshine State, and Tkachuk definitely brought a culture change to the Florida Panthers, and also the elite talents of Paul Maurice being able to coach this team. And for Paul Maurice, he's the first coach to win back-to-back championships after not winning a championship in the first 25 years of his career. That's quite a stat. And that just goes to show the dedication and the work that he's put in. Such a great coach that any team would love to have behind their bench. For me, I think the biggest thing for this Florida Panthers team is they are so tight-knit amongst all of them. All of them. From the elite superstars, from Barkov, Kachuk, and Reinhart, to the rookies, the fourth liners, right? You know, all those guys that have made an impact. They're just so tight-knit, and I love that.
The finals just showed how clinical the Florida Panthers have become under Paul Maurice, who has coached more NHL games than everyone except Scotty Bowman and is now a two-time Stanley Cup champion. So congratulations to Paul Maurice on that. Marchand, who last hoisted the cup in 2011 with the Boston Bruins. The 14-year-old gap is the third longest in league history, just shy of 16 for Chris Chelios from 1986 to 2002, and 15-year mark for Mark Ritchie, which he had a drought from 1991 to 2006.
Getting Marchand at the trade deadline from Boston for what ended up being a single first-round pick turned out to be a genius move by Florida. The Nova Scotia native scored 2 highlight reel goals in Game 5 at Edmonton to put the Panthers ahead in a heavyweight final. Made of silver and nickel, the 37-pound cup is relatively malleable. Damage is nothing new for the 131-year-old silver chalice that has been submerged in pools and the Atlantic Ocean and mishandled by players, coaches, and staff for more than a century. Just this decade alone, the Tampa Bay Lightning dropped the cup during their boat parade in 2021, and Colorado dented it on the ice the night they won the following year. So even though the Stanley Cup has been through a lot for the teams and the organizations alike, lifting Lord Stanley you can't beat that in hockey.
So, as promised, to commemorate this very special 1-year anniversary episode of Spirited Sports, we have a very special guest in the house, Todd Ash-Duah. Todd, how's it going?
Yeah, Nick, it's doing pretty well. I'm excited to be here. Crazy how it's like literally been a full year, since the start of the podcast, which is just crazy how fast time goes by. But yeah, I'm just really grateful and excited to be here.
So let's start off in the NFL. Let's talk about some football. A former Green Bay Packer going to Baltimore, Jair Alexander reuniting with Lamar Jackson. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a great move for both sides. For the Ravens, I think their secondary is already one of the best in the league already. I mean, you have Marlon Humphrey, who's an All-Pro cornerback. Kyle Hamilton's All-Pro safety. They drafted Malachi Starks in the first round of this year's draft. So they already have a really good secondary. And then you add Jair Alexander to that. And, Alexander's obviously former All-Pro corner with the Packers. Had some really good years there in Green Bay. Unfortunately, kind of like this is more the injuries that kind of led to the end of his tenure there in Green Bay. He only played in 34 of a maximum of 68 games over the last, I believe, 2 seasons it's been. And that's kind of the reason why they decided to release him. But now Alexander, if you look at it for him, he, like you said, gets to be a night with his former college teammate, which is awesome.
The 19th NBA Finals that has gone to Game 7 in league history. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Indiana Pacers. These two teams have gone back and forth all series. Todd, your thoughts about these two teams duking it out in Game 7 for the trophy?
Yeah, I would say this has been one of the best final series we've seen in a long time. It's the first final series to go to Game 7 since 2016 when LeBron and the Cavs came back from that 3-1 deficit to knock off Steph Curry and that 73-win Warriors team there. It's been a really good series to watch. Overall, it's been one of the best series I think we've seen in a long time in the NBA, particularly in the NBA Finals, with both of these teams kind of going back and forth, playing at that level of pace on both sides of the ball. The Pacers, they really do put the pace in their offense. Like, they play very, very fast. Tyrese Halliburton's a just excellent player, and already one of the best players in the league, and he's one of the clutchest players that we've seen in a long time. Pascal Siakam, obviously we know him from his time in Toronto, big part of helping the Raptors win that championship in 2019. And they just have a slew of really good glue players who play great defense and can shoot as well. So they're a really well put together team. And then the Thunder, on the other hand, obviously they're the favorites coming into the series. They had the most wins, obviously, all year, the best team in the league all year. They had the league MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jalen Williams has been awesome. Chet Holmgren's a great defensive player. I guess a lot of people would say they have a historically great defense. You know, guys like Alex Caruso and Lou Dort playing defense. I really think it's anybody's game. They have a chance to do something special on Sunday night, because whoever wins, they're going to win their first championship in franchise history. So it should be a good one to watch for sure.
So Todd, we cannot let you go without talking about your new podcast, the Ash Bros Podcast. Why don't you take us through a little bit about what this whole podcast is about?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so fun just to be able to do this with my brother. We talk about football a lot, even off the camera, but being able to do it for other people to listen into now. And I think both of us, you know, we love football a lot. It's our favorite sport for sure. It's just amazing to be able to talk football with him and have a platform to be able to do it on. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really grateful that I've been able to do it with him, and I just can't wait to see where, you know, this continues to go into the future for sure.
You two definitely have a lot of chemistry as brothers, and both also as content creators as well. Talk about the chemistry you have with your brother.
Yeah, I think our chemistry is pretty good already, which is like obviously, you know, amazing. It's kind of funny in a way because we kind of have a lot of similar takes most of the time with a lot of things, particularly even like what we were doing right now, like our recent episodes of like predicting the records of who's gonna, you know, win this division or win this division. Like the first one we did, like we had the exact same order. I think we do a great job of just building off of each other's points and kind of adding as well to our points. So I really just enjoy doing that with him. So you can follow the Ash Bros Podcast on Instagram. It's at Ash Bros Podcast. And yeah, like we have episodes right now kind of coming out every 2 weeks, but we're planning, you know, for when the season does start, kind of to do it weekly. With all the, you know, crazy storylines that are going to come out when the season starts.
It's a great listen, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy listening to that podcast. Great work, Todd, and I know Peter's done a great work with that as well. Good job.
Thank you.
So Todd, as everybody knows, you've been a major contributor to the podcast from its inception, and a lot of thanks has to go to you for reaching this 1 year anniversary mark. So do you want to talk a little bit about Spirited Sports here and kind of talk about, you know, the year anniversary?
It's been a full year. You know, it was crazy to reflect on that, but yeah, you know, me, you, Tole, everyone behind the scenes just helping out. It's just been incredible to work with all of you and have all those funny moments and all those moments of just working hard and really, you know, developing the podcast. Been just amazing to be a part of that. You know, this is my first ever time kind of, you know, starting to do any sort of sports podcast. So being able to have my first experience doing that with you guys, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So yeah, I'm grateful for all of you, and it's been amazing.
Alrighty, let's move it on to something a little bit in the future here now. For the Winter Games in Italy, the Olympics in 2026, for the men's hockey side of things, it has been announced the primary 6 players that will be representing the top teams for the Olympics. So the men's hockey tournament at the Olympics Winter Games in 2026 will begin on February 11th with Team Slovakia playing Team Finland, followed by Sweden taking on the host Italy. The tournament, the first with NHL players since Sochi Olympics in 2014, will feature all 12 teams playing 3 preliminary games in their respective groups, and all 12 teams moving on to a single elimination playoff that will conclude with a gold medal game on February 22nd. So a little bit more into the schedule here. Team USA will play in Group C and will take on Latvia on February 12th, then play Denmark on February 14th, and then we'll play Germany on the 15th of February. For Team Canada, their group stage games will be played as follows. On February 12th, it will be Czechia, then it will be Switzerland in the next day, and we'll conclude the round playing France on the 15th. Of the 72 names in the primary roster construction here for these 12 teams, 61 are under contract with an NHL franchise. The New Jersey Devils have the most players selected with 6, and the Florida Panthers are next with 5. Team Canada also revealed their first 6 names for their rosters, which include Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Sam Reinhart, and Braden Point. Pretty much the exact same 6 from the Four Nations face-off. For the U.S. side of things, the primary 6 are Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, and defenseman Charlie Coyle and Quinn Hughes.
Now I'll pose a question here. Do you think Cole Caulfield will be picked by Team USA? And do you think Nick Suzuki will be picked by Team Canada?
I think Cole Caulfield will make Team USA. You look at the season he just had with the Montreal Canadiens. Almost a 40-goal scorer, having 37 goals, 33 assists for 70 points, having a great year in Montreal. And honestly, I thought with how hot he was going into the Four Nations tournament, he also should have been on that team. So I think there is a big chance for Cole Caulfield to make the Olympics U.S. men's roster. As for Nick Suzuki, I'm not sure if he'll make it or not for Team Canada, but I think there's guys ahead of him that would make the roster, like Mark Scheifele, who didn't make the Four Nations roster. Obviously, the topic all NHL fans are wondering about right now, McDavid's future as an Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid can become an unrestricted free agent after the 2025-26 season. McDavid was a huge reason why the Oilers have reached the Cup in the past 2 seasons. Keeping Connor McDavid with the Edmonton Oilers beyond his current contract is a top priority, General Manager Stan Bowman said last Friday. The center is going into the last season of an 8-year, $100 million deal, which has an average annual value of $12.5 million that expires at the end of the 2025-2026 season. Leon Draisaitl signed an 8-year extension with the Edmonton Oilers, which was a total of $112 million with an annual value of $14 million on September 3rd of 2024 that begins next season. And obviously, like I said, Connor McDavid is eligible to sign a new contract on July 1st. Connor McDavid is a 3-time Hart Trophy winner as NHL MVP. He won it in 2017, 2021, and 2023. He's also a 4-time Ted Lindsay Award winner as he won that in 2017, 2018, 2021, and 2023 as the most outstanding player according to his fellow players. And he is also a 5-time Art Ross Trophy winner as the NHL points leader. He won that in years 2017, 2018, 2021, 2022, and 2023. McDavid said the chance to win the Stanley Cup is the number one factor in deciding where he signs. You know, it's one of the few trophies he has yet to win in his 10 seasons with the Edmonton Oilers, and it's obviously one he's chasing the most.
So one question that has been brewing for me for the past week or so is, now that the Oilers have lost back-to-back, what's next for the Oilers? What changes need to be made? What has to happen here for the Oilers to overcome 2 straight finals losses and finally win a cup?
Up front, you're going to need some different players. They got to go out and find a number 1 goaltender for them. Obviously, going into the playoffs with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, it's not going to be an option for them next season. You know, if you have a guy like John Gibson going up against Sergei Bobrovsky, don't you think the Edmonton Oilers would have had a better shot at beating the Florida Panthers this past season? I think they would have for sure. Obviously, they need another forward, which I think they will get July 1st in free agency. But again, the Edmonton Oilers are very cap tight with only having roughly just more than $10 million to spend this offseason. So they're going to need to figure that out too. But major changes, goaltender, and a couple forwards definitely has to be done. What do you think, Tole?
Yeah, Stevie, I actually really like what you said there. The Oilers definitely need to fix the goaltending. Perhaps Bowman could explore a trade for a guy like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who has had decent results on a Buffalo Sabres team. Edmonton cannot afford to stay silent on the goaltending any longer. Number 2 would be get younger and faster. Successful teams boast a mixture of older players who provide a steadying presence, as well as younger players who can score, provide speed, and give the team some energy at key moments. Going into the 2025-26 season, Bowman needs to find ways to acquire younger talent.
Okay, let's take it from the ice to the diamond. Let's talk a little baseball here. Let's talk about one thing that we saw this week between the Padres and the Dodgers. These 2 teams facing off 7 times in a span of 11 days. These 2 teams have quite the rivalry, as National League West rivals. Let's talk about it here. The series finale on Thursday saw an inning in which both Fernando Tatis Jr. and Shohei Ohtani were plunked in the same frame for the second time that week. Benches cleared. There was a lot of animosity between the two teams. Both managers were ejected. Padres closer Robert Sanchez, who hit Ohtani in the bottom of the ninth, was also ejected. Let's talk about this ninth inning that erupted into almost chaos, pushing and shoving and just chaotic moments there in this game.
So obviously, for this to happen is because in large part it was due to Ohtani. After he was hit in the bottom of the inning, he waved toward his own dugout, essentially telling his teammates who seemed poised to hop the railing to remain where they were. But when you're hitting guys with four-seam fastballs, especially top guys in the MLBs who are stars, there's going to be fireworks, especially when it's an in-state rivalry like the Dodgers and Padres.
San Diego Padres closer Robert Suarez was suspended for 3 games and fined an undisclosed amount Friday for intentionally hitting Shohei Ohtani. Suarez will appeal the suspension, keeping him eligible to play for San Diego on Friday night against Kansas City. Padres manager Mike Shildt and Dodgers manager Dave Roberts also received 1-game suspensions and undisclosed fines for their roles in the incident. Okay.
Some key moments in this rivalry was, back in May 2023 when the Padres won the first meeting between the two clubs. They posted an image of Kershaw on the video board with cartoon tears coming down from his face. And obviously that ignited the rivalry even further. You look at last April in the 2024 season, when during a 3-game series between these two teams at Dodger Stadium, Profar took exception to Dodgers starter Gavin Stone coming high and tight with a fastball. And later in the game, he started jawing with catcher Will Smith. So you see that added more fuel to the rivalry. And obviously back in October of 2024, when the Los Angeles Dodgers manager Roberts called out Machado post-game for when Manny Machado threw a ball toward the Dodgers dugout. See how this rivalry has grown over the years, how it's been fueled through the years.
I want to give kudos to Ohtani there, serving as the peacemaker for intense rivalry that these two teams have had. You don't see that very often, especially in a heated moment like that where your star player is hit by a pitch that the player that was hit is calming the team down and telling them to stay put and stay in the dugout. So I got to give him kudos for that. That was a great moment of sportsmanship there for Ohtani.
Righty. Now let's bring in sports correspondent Nicholas Lampiris. Nico, thank you for being with us here once again on another episode. So let's talk some footy. Question number 1. Why do or don't you think Man City have or haven't made some good signings so far?
This is a great question, as Man City really wasted no time getting into business this transfer window before the Club World Cup, replacing their third goalkeeper, Carson, with a new one, Bettinelli. I love the signing of Ryan Aït-Nouri because we're finally getting a natural left back, which we haven't had in so long, an attacking left back as well, who I think was better going to be going forward than Gvardiol, who should be playing as a center back. And I also like this signing a lot, Aït-Nouri, just because he's Premier League proven. A lot of players come from different leagues and take a hard time to adjust, especially in Pep's teams, to the Premier League and their style. But I feel like Aït-Nouri will hit the ground running just because he has the experience playing in the Premier League with Wolves, and honestly was one of their best players. And I've liked him for a while. I'm really happy City signed him. Next, Reinders, Serie A player of the midfielder of the season last year. Did pretty well for Netherlands at the Euros. I didn't know too much about him apart from that, but I saw him play against Wydad in Man City's first game earlier this week, and he was unbelievable. He ran the show, similar to like how a Rodri would. Like, he was very, very good. So, especially for his first game with the team and like his first few weeks training with the team, like, he was so good, and I'm so excited to see him and Rodri play together in that midfield. Like, he's unbelievable. And lastly, the big one, I think, Ryan Cherki. For me, such a great signing, a bargain. Like, it's a no-brainer that no one else was really interested in getting him for only 30 million. Like, it's such a bargain that it was such a no-brainer for me to get him. I thought he did decent in his first game. We'll see if he plays in the second game that's happening later tonight. But he's an unbelievable player with loads of potential. Wasn't his greatest game, I would say, the first game of the Club World Cup, but he showed signs of just creativity and not being afraid to do flair skills and tricks. So I'm really excited, honestly. I think all of Man City's signings were very good. I'm happy with them. And yeah, I really think they're going to help push to win trophies next season for sure.
Question number 2. Why do or don't you think Liverpool have or haven't made a huge mistake with paying a huge fee for Florian Wirtz?
I definitely think it's too early to tell whether or not Liverpool made a huge mistake with the huge transfer fee, breaking the British world record, signing Florian Wirtz. I want to say for now they didn't. Even though he was very expensive, he is one of the best young attacking players in the world. He's unbelievable. And the fact that he's still this good at this young age after having a ACL injury as well, like he's unbelievable. And I think that's Florian Wirtz, the profile of a player he is something Liverpool's been needing for so long. Kind of someone that can create attacks. Like they didn't have McAllister, Soboslai, but they're not like natural gifted tens like Florian Wirtz is. Like you see how he does for Germany, he's unbelievable. People have seen now Leverkusen in the last 3-4 years. Like he's been a huge part of everything, all the success Leverkusen has had lately, and he's also now going there with Jeremy Frimpong, so that's a good link up there at Liverpool. But as of right now, I think it's an amazing signing for Liverpool, regardless of the price, because they just picked up one of the best available players in the world right now and filled like the biggest void that they needed to fill in their team. So as of right now, I don't think it's been a big mistake.
Nico, thank you so much for being here with us once again on this episode. We really enjoyed your insightful responses. Now, switching gears, let's bring in Thomas Rombos. Romby, thank you for being here with us again today on another episode of Spirited Sports. Let's talk some footy here as well. Question number 1. Why do or don't you think Olympiacos did or didn't make a big mistake by deciding to sell Charalambos Kostulas?
Well, I don't believe that Olympiacos made a mistake selling Kostula to Brighton for many reasons. The first being that the fee, 40 million, is unbelievable for a Greek team that allows them to buy many players of similar quality in their Champions League push, which is a fee that's been unheard of for Greek teams. Next, I think it's the best for the player himself. I think Kostula is an up-and-coming gem. I think that playing in the Premier League for a team like Brighton is what he needs for his career to progress. And, we can be selfish as Olympiacos fans and be like, oh, we wish he played for us. And yes, there's a side of me that wish he was still on our team. But, as a Greek, Kostula is the future of our national team. So putting him in the toughest league in the world is just going to make him better and his career to progress to the heights it deserves to go to. So I believe that Olympiacos made the right decision.
Question number 2. Why do or don't you think Panathinaikos have or haven't regretted not selling Fotis Ioannidis last summer?
So personally, I believe that Panathinaikos has regretted selling Ioannidis. And I say regret, but I believe that a year and a half ago, when they were getting offers in the 30-40 million range, and recently they did get one from Fiorentina, I believe that for a fee of that magnitude, that it allows Panathinaikos, who has not seen a title in a decade and a half, to go through a proper rebuild and get defenders and get key components. Look at Olympiacos, they sold Kostula coming off a double, coming off Champions League qualification, right? That 40 million is just going to bolster the squad. Then you look at Panathinaikos and they need that money from Ioannidis sale to really bring their team back up to the heights. So I believe they regretted not selling Ioannidis, and we'll see. And the player's performance has dropped drastically, so we'll have to see how it goes. But I believe he should be sold to better the team.
Thomas, thank you for making the time to be here with us once again today on Spirited Sports. We look forward to having you join us once again in the very near future. Nick, over to you.
All right. I have a big surprise for you. We have a long-awaited return to a beloved part of our show here. It is time for the return of Game Time.
Woo!
All right. We have 10 questions about the Stanley Cup Finals. let's dive right into it here. They're all multiple choice. You two give me your answers, and we'll see how we do. Let's get started here. Question number 1. Which Florida Panthers player scored a record-setting 4 goals in Game 6, becoming the first player since 1957 to do so in a finals game?
Sam Reinhart.
We're going to go with Sam Reinhart.
I didn't even have to read you the multiple choice answers. Yes, Sam Reinhart. That was B. Good job. All right, so who won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player of the playoffs? A. Sergei Bobrovsky, B. Matthew Tkachuk, C. Sam Bennett, and D. Evan Bouchard.
Sam Bennett.
Also going with Sam Bennett.
Yes, C. Sam Bennett. Correct. All right, question number 3. Which Oilers defenseman led all defensemen in playoff points? Is it A. Darnell Nurse, B. Evan Bouchard, C. Matthias Ekholm, or D. Philip Broberg?
I'm going to go with Evan Bouchard.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Evan Bouchard.
Yes, Bouchard. Answer B is correct. Yes. Question number 4. In Game 4, the Oilers came back from a 3-0 deficit, as we know. How many other teams in Stanley Cup Finals history have done that before? So the options are A, 5, B, 6, C, 7, D, 9.
I'm going to go with 7.
I think I'll go with 7 as well.
Yes, you got it right. 7 other teams have come back from a 3-0 deficit to win in a Stanley Cup Finals game. Great work. How many high danger goals did the Panthers score throughout the playoffs, and how many more was it than the Oilers?
Panthers got 52 and the Oilers got 45, so 7 goal difference there between the two. Stevie, what do you think?
I'm also agreeing with that answer. 7 goal difference between the two teams.
Alrighty, Nick, is that right?
Yep, you got it.
Oh, wow. Alrighty, there we go, Stevie. Alrighty, what's the next question, Nick?
So, question number 6. What were the Florida Panthers' penalty kill percentage during this 2025 playoffs? Was it 88.2, 87.9, 85.6, or was it 86.4?
86.4.
I'm going to go with, what was it? Was it 85.9?
It was 86.4. Alrighty, question number 7. Who assisted on 2 of Sam Reinhart's goals in Game 6? Was it A. Barkov, B. Marchand, C. Lundell, or D. Verhaeghe?
Stevie, you go first.
I'm going to go with Barkov.
Same.
Yes, Barkov, correct. Good job. Who became the first goalie in NHL history to record back-to-back 40-plus save games to open a Stanley Cup final? Was it Sergei Bobrovsky, Stuart Skinner, or Calvin Pickard?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Sergei Bobrovsky.
I'm going to say Sergei Bobrovsky. Big save Bob.
Yes, Big Save Bob is correct. Sergei Bobrovsky, yes, good job. Question number 9. How many kilometers apart are Edmonton and Sunrise, Florida, marking the longest distance between Stanley Cup final opponents? Was it A, 3,505 kilometers, B, 4,089 kilometers, C, 4,500 kilometers, or D, 5,200 kilometers? It's a tough one.
I'm going to go D, 5,200 kilometers.
Tole?
I'm gonna go with what Stevie said there too.
It was actually B, 4,089 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a distance, yes. All right, our 10th and final question of the episode here. Who scored Edmonton's game-tying goal late in Game 1 to send it to overtime? Was it A, Connor McDavid? Was it B, Matthias Ekholm? C, Connor Brown? Or D, Leon Draisaitl?
It was Leon Draisaitl.
I'm going with Leon Draisaitl.
It was actually Matthias Ekholm who tied the game in Game 1 to send it to OT. It was Ekholm. All right. That was an incredible way to end off episode number 54 of Spirited Sports. A return to a very beloved segment that hasn't been in the mix for a while, but a great return to Game Time. Thank you to Thomas, Nicholas, and Todd for great contributions to this very special 1-year anniversary episode number 54 of Spirited Sports. This has been an absolutely incredible journey so far for the first year of this podcast, and there is so much more to come. This is just the beginning, and we are so thankful that we've have this platform to be able to sit down every week and talk sports. And a big thank you to everyone here for that. That'll do it for the end of episode number 54 of Spirited Sports. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.